Welcome back to the Sports News Analysis YouTube channel. My name is Mike. I'm continuing my Week 2 recaps, and this video is for the week that was in the NFC East. Certainly a disappointing week for this division as a whole, quite frankly. They go 0-4 this week. You have two teams now in this division at 0-2. First, we'll start with the Giants. The Giants now 0-2 on the heels of their 41-23 loss against the Denver Broncos in the Manning Bowl. A problem that's developing for the Giants, a glaring problem, is obviously the amount and the rate at which this offense is turning the ball over. 5 turnovers again for the Giants there. 4 turnovers for the Giants in this game. 10 total turnovers here in 2 games for this offense. Eli Manning with 4 interceptions. This is a guy that I know he has, the 2 Super Bowl rings, and no one can take that away from him. He has he has the most interceptions, I should say, in the NFL since 2004. And we're seeing that come to fruition this year. It looks like Eli's trying to do a little bit too much for whatever reason. Maybe he doesn't have confidence in that running game. Maybe he doesn't have ultimate confidence in that defense. But you see him making careless mistakes that are pretty uncharacteristic at this level, this many in 2 games for him. So we'll see if he can straighten it out here. I know a good running game would certainly help him. I mean, the Giants rushed for less than 25 yards in the game against the Broncos, and this is a game that was close for the whole first half. So it's not like the Broncos got out to a huge lead. They developed a lead in the second half, but the Giants had an opportunity to develop that running game, to establish that running game, and they couldn't do it. We'll see if they can do that against a pretty good Carolina rush defense in Week 3, which now becomes a must-win as they go on the road to Carolina. And from a defensive perspective, look, they're just very susceptible to the pass. Everyone is when they play the Broncos, but you saw Week 1 as well against the Cowboys. They're pretty susceptible to the pass. Again, didn't put much pressure on Peyton Manning last week. We'll see if they can get to Cam Newton. Good thing for the Giants is, Carolina's imposed much of a threat, or at least they haven't, with a down-the-field passing game. Carolina's been very conservative this season so far with the play calling of Shula down there, of course, with Cam Newton. If they can neutralize Cam Newton, I think that the Giants' offense can take some advantage of a Panthers secondary that I don't consider to be very good. I like the Panthers' front 7. Don't believe much in that secondary. So to see that the Giants can move the ball and limit those turnovers that hurt them this week. As far as moving on here to the other 0-2 team, that's the Washington Redskins. And if you listen to this channel, I said 2 things heading into the season about the Redskins. 1, I did not think they'd make the playoffs again. And 2, I thought it was a huge deal that Robert Griffin missed the whole preseason. People seem to kind of glance it over. I think we're seeing now why preseason is important to any player, and most notably a second-year quarterback. I really like Griffin. But right now, he's more of a pocket passer, does not have that dual threat capability. I wanted him to run less so he kept healthy, but not to the point where he's not running at all. And I think that's what you're seeing develop here. He sometimes, it seems like a lot, he's throwing flat-footed, throwing off his back foot, just not in rhythm. And this is the second game in a row where this team as a whole got off to a very bad start and were climbing themselves out of a hole early on. So the numbers for Griffin don't look that bad, over 300 yards in the 2 games here, in each game, I should say. But if you watch the games, they were down 31-0, I believe, to the Packers. And this defense for Washington is a whole problem unto itself. I mean, put RG3 to the side. I think if you give him a chance, he'll figure it out eventually. But this defense, I think they let up 1,000 yards in the first 2 games, which is astronomical when you think about it. Aaron Rodgers had 480 yards himself. The Packers had a 100-yard rusher for the first time since 2010. Coincidentally, that time against the Redskins as well. And this defense is just patently awful, to be quite honest. There's really no other way to put it. And we'll see if they can bounce back in Week 3 at home, again in a must-win spot. Moving on here to the Eagles. Look, the Eagles had a very disappointing game on Sunday. I know Michael Vick threw for a career high in yards. I know you saw glimpses from LaShawn McCoy and certainly Deshaun Jackson again. Those 3 are clicking in this new offense. But, they shot themselves in the foot a lot on offense down the stretch. Okay, they got crushed in the time of possession, which is not surprising given the way Chip Kelly likes to have a fast-paced offense. I think what increasingly is going to become a problem for the Eagles is the defense, and most notably the ability for pretty good offenses, like an offense like the Chargers, who I don't consider to be great, their ability to sustain long drives against this defense and keep the Eagles' offense off the field. This Eagles defense made a lot of acquisitions. They totally switched their defensive scheme. It's not working so far. How do they react on a short week playing against Andy Reid here? We'll see. I'm not too optimistic as of now, and it's going to be important in this game against the Chiefs, as I'll preview it later, I think, for the Eagles to limit the mistakes on offense, because their defense is putting them in a spot like they did on Sunday where this offense can't make mistakes right now. And not a good position to be in, but we'll see how they react on Thursday night after this disappointing home loss in Chip Kelly's opener. The last team in the NFC East, obviously, is the Dallas Cowboys. The Cowboys with So I thought a pretty disappointing loss on Sunday, only because the game was there for the taking. Okay, they cut the lead to 17-16 late in the fourth quarter. There, I thought they played. I thought that in the fourth quarter, Tony Romo just didn't come up big. If you're one of these guys who doesn't like Tony Romo and always talks about how he doesn't come up in the clutch, well, Sunday was your game, right? I mean, he didn't really shine. The running game wasn't really there at all. Some questionable play calling down in the red zone for the Cowboys. I thought their defense played pretty well. I thought their defense played better than they did in the first game against the Giants. But nonetheless, the Chiefs do enough to beat the Cowboys. And look, the Cowboys, I don't think it's time to hit the panic button. I know a lot of people tend to do that with the Cowboys. This is a tough Chiefs team on the road in their home opener. I don't think it's the end of the world they lost this game. We'll see how the Cowboys rebound in Week 3 when they play an intriguing team, I think, in the Rams. They'll get the Rams at home, a team that'll get after the passer. We'll see how that Cowboys offensive line holds up in that one. But look, that's my recap of Week 2 in the NFC East. Going into Week 3, guys, I preview every game every week. So be sure to catch my individual previews of the teams in the NFC East. Be sure to subscribe. This way you get all my videos uploaded directly to your feed here on YouTube. Thanks again for listening. Hit me up in the comments, and have a great night.